Episode 7, Troublesome Ex-Boyfriends. The young man of the past is gone. After Guo Qixing's words, he wore a look of anticipation. Sure enough, after all the reporters followed Guo Qixing's gaze, their initial reaction was complete shock. Today, Ningxi wore a crimson, lacy dress with intricate cutouts that accentuated her perfect waistline. The color and lace texture were challenging to pull off, as they had the potential to look tacky or outrageous. However, this dress seemed tailor-made for Ningxi, complementing her beauty and dazzling everyone who laid eyes on her. When the stylist had initially chosen this dress for her, even Ningxi herself had doubts about whether she could pull it off. However, she was proven wrong once she put it on. This was the magic of Shengshi Media's Midas touch. They could see something in her that she hadn't even realized. As for walking the red carpet, even though it was her first time attending such an event, she was an actress, someone who had to understand a wide range of characters with different personalities and professions. She had even played big stars in some of her roles, so walking the red carpet was a piece of cake for her. Every step, every smile, every move was just right. She could precisely locate the camera positions to give her best expressions. The reporters were stunned for quite some time, and it took Guo Qixing a while to regain his composure. Was this Ningxi, the actress playing Meng Chang'e? A relatively unknown newcomer with no significant works? Her beauty was simply beyond words, she was stunning. The reporters had been asking questions about whether Jia Qingqing or Ningxi was more beautiful, and now, they felt that their questions had been absurd. In the presence of a beauty like Ningxi, Jia Qingqing, who was known for her looks, paled in comparison. It wasn't just her appearance, this newcomer exuded a strong presence. She didn't seem like a newcomer at all, and she was elegant and confident, even emitting an innate sense of nobility. Ningxi walked to the center of the red carpet, posed for the media's photographs, and then turned around. She picked up a pen from a tray and signed the autograph wall. As she turned around, there was another wave of exclamations and the sound of cameras clicking. The dress she wore was designed with a backless style. When the stylist had chosen this dress, the backless design was an essential factor. Ningxi's butterfly bone was exceptionally beautiful, and it could be said that it was the most sensual and attractive part of her body. Not showing it would be a waste. In the past, female stars often aimed to impress by revealing their cleavage on the red carpet. Ningxi, on the other hand, had taken a high-end and innovative approach. After captivating countless cameras, it was finally time for the interview session. The reporters today were in a tough spot because all the questions they had prepared were about her appearance, such as, do you think your looks can handle the role of the nation's femme fatale Meng Chang'e? Or, which one do you think is prettier, you or Jia Qingqing? Or, we heard you were accepted against the norm, do you have any reasons for that? Now, all these questions were irrelevant. Anyone with working eyes could see that there was no need for a behind-the-scenes story for the audition. Her face was too convincing. She was the perfect fit for Meng Chang'e. So, the reporters on-site had to come up with new questions. Miss Ning, may I ask if your dress is a handcrafted, high-end custom piece from designer Karl Lagerfeld? Ningxi was speechless. This dress was a Karl Lagerfeld high-end custom piece? A dress worth several million, and she just casually put it on? Did Big Boss Liu have to be this mind-boggling? But what was even scarier was that the reporter continued to list the origins of all the items she was wearing and then asked, Miss Ning, is your stylist Arthur? You could deduce all this? You've got to be kidding me. No, I must have seen it wrong. Thankfully, before Ningxi could respond, the reporter quickly corrected himself. He probably remembered that Ningxi was a star under Starlight Media, so her stylist couldn't possibly be Arthur from Shengshi Entertainment, which was associated with Su Yimo. Ningxi breathed a sigh of relief, fearing that they might ask more similar questions. She quickly took the initiative and said, today is the opening ceremony for Tianxia, so let's focus on questions related to the film. In that case, Miss Ning, is this your first time acting in a movie? A reporter in the crowd asked. No, it's not my first time. I started working on sets during my university days, but I didn't have many significant roles, so most people didn't know me, Ningxi answered truthfully, not minding her relatively thin resume. The media could find all these details anyway, so she might as well be modest about it. Could you tell us about the roles you've played before, Miss Ning? This question was quite normal, but for Ningxi, it was a bit awkward. However, since they asked, she couldn't avoid answering. I've played Ningxi began listing the roles she had portrayed in various productions after returning to China. During her 4 years of studying abroad, she had spent all her spare time working on various sets. She had taken on small roles in well-known series and had even landed more substantial roles. It was a remarkable achievement considering that it was challenging for Chinese actors to find opportunities overseas. The reason she didn't bring up her overseas experiences was due to her tumultuous love life during her time abroad. Even though all her relationships were ethical and normal, the identities of her ex-boyfriends seemed a bit too high-profile. What mattered most to her now was having a remarkable project under her belt. If her initial career success was filled with tabloid news, and the public's attention focused on her personal life, it wouldn't be advantageous for her long-term development. Ningxi had been trying hard to recall the roles she had played after returning to China that were still presentable. However, when she listed them, the reporters were left speechless. What kind of roles were these? The other woman, the vixen, the enchantress, the country bumpkin, the brainless young miss, and even the wicked old lady. For such a stunning beauty, what kind of preference was this? Someone finally asked, "Why have you always played antagonist roles, Miss Ning?" Ningxi couldn't reveal her past with Chongli at this event, so she calmly replied, "I didn't notice that. For me, acting is my most beloved career. Each character has its own life, and there is no distinction between big or small, noble or humble." The media went on to ask several more questions, all of which Ningxi handled perfectly without any prior guidance from a manager. Guo Qixing, who was watching from the side, nodded repeatedly. "This girl is really good. With her talent and emotional intelligence, it's surprising that she's only achieved this level after a year in the industry. Old Wang, what do you think?" Producer Wang Taiha smiled mysteriously and said, "Either the higher-ups at Starlight Media have bad judgment, or..." He gave Guo Qixing a knowing look. It was clear that someone at Starlight Media had deliberately suppressed her. Guo Qixing looked regretful. "It's a shame for such a promising talent. Gold will always shine, and besides, doesn't she have you as her patron?" Wang Taiha chuckled. At this moment, Ning Xuelua, who was on the side, was snapping her nails in her palm, her face turning even more unsightly at this event. She had never imagined that by deliberately instructing Chongli to notify Ningxi at the last minute to make her look bad at the opening ceremony, it would lead to Ningxi's stunning appearance and the shock of the entire audience. Damn it, that outfit Ningxi was wearing cost several million, and she didn't have that kind of money. The clothes and jewelry could be rented, but who had created this entire look for her? She had underestimated this country bumpkin. "Xuelua, Ningxi is your junior. Do you have anything to say about her role as Meng Chang'e?" At this point, a reporter asked Ning Xuelua a question related to Ningxi. Ning Xuelua instantly switched back to her composed and elegant demeanor and sincerely replied, "My junior sister is very talented, and I believe she won't disappoint anyone." Regarding the questions about Ningxi from the reporters, Ning Xuelua praised her profusely. Those unaware of the situation thought she was helping her junior sister, but Ningxi knew that Ning Xuelua's intentions were far from pure. She wasn't trying to support her, she wanted to promote her. Before the film had even started shooting, they were already raising Ningxi to the skies, setting the public's expectations so high. If she made even the slightest mistake, she would be heavily criticized. However, she wasn't going to give Ning Xuelua the chance to implement her plan. After 5 years of patiently waiting and building her skills, she was confident that she could win everyone's hearts with her performance. "You want to promote me? Well, let's see." The media interview session finally ended, and Ningxi was about to catch her breath when she was intercepted by Chongli. "Ningxi, where did you get this outfit? Don't expect the company to pay for it. You're just playing a supporting role. Who allowed you to be so high-profile and steal the limelight? Don't you understand the rules?" Chongli began scolding her. Ningxi adjusted her naturally wavy black hair and calmly said, "I didn't plan for this. It was Miss Chong who insisted on having me appear last. You?" Since there were many people around, Chongli suppressed her anger and said, "During dinner later, make sure to behave yourself and not say anything that would embarrass the company. Xuelua can't handle alcohol well, so remember to take care of her. Do you understand?" Ningxi couldn't help but chuckle. "Take care of her? Miss Chong, are you dreaming? I'm not planning to throw alcohol on her, isn't that good enough?" Chongli and Ning Xuelua had the same attitude, so there was no point in trying to reason with her. If she stood her ground a bit, Changli would be wary of going too far. Changli was irritated by her. Ningxi, you've really come into your own. Just because you got a small supporting role, do you not even know what your last name is? Ningxi didn't have the patience to deal with her further and simply turned and walked away. Changli watched Ningxi's departing figure, and even from behind, she could captivate the soul. She inexplicably felt anxious. She had a premonition long before that she might not be able to suppress Ningxi. This woman was born to act. If she made it big, she would surely overshadow Ningxuelua in the future. But now, she could only firmly suppress Ningxi, not giving her any opportunity to turn the tide. After the opening ceremony, there was a banquet. All the relevant people from the cast and crew gathered, eating, drinking, getting to know each other, and chatting, creating a more relaxed atmosphere. Seeing Ningxi arrive, the screenwriter, Yi Linglong, was the first to stand up and pull her to sit next to her, showing how satisfied she was with Ningxi. It's quite a coincidence. The two leading ladies of our drama are from the same company and even have the same last name, Ning. The assistant director, Zhang Rui, sighed. Ningxi coldly smiled. Indeed, quite a coincidence. Same company, same agent. Yet their circumstances were worlds apart. One was already the top star at Starlight Media, while the other was still struggling at the bottom of the entertainment industry. In the midst of conversation, the producer, director, and others suddenly stood up to welcome the arrival of the chairman of the biggest investor in the drama, Ning International, Chairman Ning Yaohua. I didn't expect Chairman Ning to take time out of his busy schedule to attend our opening ceremony. We are truly honored. Director Guo warmly greeted him. Please, Chairman Ning, have a seat here. Producer Wang offered his seat, allowing Chairman Ning Yaohua to sit next to Ning Xuelua. Chairman Ning Yaohua gazed at Ning Xuelua with affection and said, Director Guo, you're too kind. My daughter has received so much care and guidance. Chairman Ning, with a daughter as talented as Xuelua, she doesn't need any special care from me. This child is always so busy. If I hadn't come this time, as her father, I wouldn't even get to see her. Chairman Ning Yaohua complained. Despite his stern tone, there was no trace of anger in his eyes. He clearly doted on her. Haha, you see, even the director is advocating for me. I can only come visit my family when I have some time off from my busy schedule. Ning Xuelua played coy while hugging her father's arm, behaving like a good daughter. Look at this, even the director has to speak up for me. I can only come visit when there are so many people around. Chairman Ning Yaohua chuckled. Dad, there are so many people here. Give me some face. Ning Xuelua said, pretending to be embarrassed. Yes, you're already a big star. I can't even say anything. Ningxi thought she had toughened up, but she was still taken aback by this touching display of fatherly love and daughterly filial piety. Her heart felt a tightness in her chest, and for a moment, she felt like running away. Fortunately, she couldn't control her emotions, but on the surface, she remained perfectly composed, discussing the script with the screenwriter as if she hadn't noticed the lively scene opposite her. She could ignore it, but someone didn't feel the same way. Ning Yaohua's gaze fell on her like a cutting knife, as if her presence in a public place was something shameful and disgusting. In the end, she used the excuse of going to the restroom to leave the box and walked to the end of the corridor to get some fresh air. She took out a cigarette and a lighter from her bag, hesitated for a long time with the slender cigarette in her hand, and finally put it back. She was in the process of quitting smoking. Tonight was the first time she had lost control. The night breeze blew on her face haphazardly, making her feel a bit better. At that moment, she heard footsteps behind her. Ningxi's back stiffened, but when she turned around, her expression was like a perfectly polished mask, flawless. Chairman Ning came to find me. Ning Yaohua looked at her with a stern expression, his eyes filled with dissatisfaction, as he took in her conspicuous outfit. Ningxi lowered her gaze and smiled lightly. Oh, Chairman Ning, you've been staring at me in the box. Aren't you afraid that others might misunderstand your intentions towards me? After all, in the eyes of outsiders, his identity was that of an investor, and she was a beautiful young star. It was easy for people to assume a certain kind of relationship. You rascal, what kind of words are these? Ning Yaohua was furious. Ningxi raised an eyebrow. Of course, these are just words from a commoner. Chairman Ning, do you not understand commoners' language? You? Ning Yaohua suddenly raised his hand. But before his hand could come down, it was firmly seized by a slender wrist. There was no way she would allow Ning Yaohua to have a chance to hit her again. He had no right. Ning Yaohua was so angry that he jerked his hand out of her grip. You withdraw from this role for me and stop embarrassing our family in public. Ningxi's face hardened. I rightfully obtained this role based on my abilities. I don't see how I'm embarrassing our family. Chairman Ning, do you understand me now? Whatever Shuelua does, you have to follow suit, regardless of your own circumstances, and regardless of whether you can keep up with her. You rushed into the entertainment industry, is it because you hope someone will dig up your past scandals to shame the Ning family? Ning Yaohua's gaze towards her was filled with disgust. Even to this day, there were occasional jokes in the industry about Ning Yaohua's daughter, Ning Shuelua, being mistaken for a beverage and wearing knockoff clothes to a banquet. If people were to find out about her ugly past, where would Ning Yaohua hide his face? As soon as Ning Yaohua's words fell, Ningxi's face turned pale. That night, that stranger, that deceased baby. This was her Achilles heel. Although the Ning family had hidden this matter well out of fear of losing face and Ning Shuelua had kept quiet to avoid any potential exposure, it was still her deepest nightmare. I gave you the opportunity to step down out of consideration for you. Since you refuse, don't blame me for disregarding the father-daughter relationship. Oh, so there's a father-daughter relationship between us? Dad, Xiaoxi, what's going on with you guys? Ning Shuelua's surprised voice came from behind. Upon seeing Ning Shuelua, Ning Yaohua immediately put on a more affectionate expression. It's nothing, you don't need to worry. When you go back, have your company find another suitable actress for the supporting role. The implication was that they would replace Ningxi. Ning Shuelua's heart skipped a beat, and she spoke with an anxious expression. Dad, why? Xiaoxi has put in a lot of effort to secure this supporting role. She can handle minor roles at best, how can she play such an important character? I've invested 3 million in this film, not for her to play around. Ning Yaohua said firmly. But, Dad, she's already been chosen for this role in the film. Shuelua, you don't need to speak up for her. Didn't I tell you not to help her? You even praised her in front of the reporters. Can she handle the pressure? But, Dad, after all, she's your... Stop talking about it forever. I've said it before, I, Ning Yaohua, have only one daughter, you. Dad, don't be angry. Can I not mention it again? I have something to do later. I'll leave first. Talk some sense into her when you have the time, and tell her not to be so stubborn. Ning Yaohua gave Ningxi a stern look and then turned and left, his face cold. After Ning Yaohua left, Ning Shuelua's face changed from reluctant and obedient to one of innocence as she spoke. Ningxi, this time, I didn't want to make things difficult for you. I wanted to give you a chance, but unfortunately... Heh. Ningxi couldn't help but laugh lightly. In that single sound was an endless sense of desolation. Who could have guessed that the one who would ultimately foil her plans and drag her back into the dust was her own father? She had worked so hard, fought so long, and prepared for this role. And now it was all gone. After the opening banquet, it was already past 11 p.m. It's said that when you're in a bad mood, you get drunk easily. It seemed to be true. Ningxi felt like she hadn't drunk much tonight, but when she got up, she couldn't stand steady. Her temples were throbbing in pain. At this moment, she saw someone who made her feel even more uncomfortable. Suyan. Some of the crew members, especially the young girls, were in awe when they saw Suyan. Ah, it's Suyan. He's so handsome. He looks even more handsome in person than in the rumors. He's here to pick up Ning Shuelua, right? I'm so jealous of her. Her career is going so smoothly, her family background is excellent, and her boyfriend is so handsome. She's definitely a winner in life. This kind of person won the game from the very beginning of his life. We can't envy that. Ningxi leaned against the wall, staring blankly at the man who was walking towards Ning Shuelua step by step. In recent years, the Su family had developed well, and Su Yan's worth had soared. In him, Ningxi could hardly see any trace of the boy from the past. That boy who had gone to the countryside to recuperate due to a lung disease, the boy who had tenderly told her stories while holding a book, he had long been lost in the river of time.